Yakuza 2. This was considered the fan favorite of the Yakuza series pre-Zero, and after playing Zero and Kiwami, I couldn't wait to play this entry. I completed it 2 times for this review. Let's dive in. Yakuza 2 was released in December 2006 in Japan and September of 2008 in North America. Yakuza 1 came out in December 2005 in Japan. The team had only 1 year of dev time to develop a sequel. In fact, Yakuza 2 came out in Japan only 3 months after the original hit the US. It's very impressive they were able to complete the game in only a year. And yeah, it basically reuses the same map from the original, but it adds a whole nother area, and it's a long game with a lot of content and cutscenes. Yakuza 2 definitely belongs on a list of the most improved sequels with the likes of Uncharted 2 or Sonic 2. But with a PS4 remake out, there's the question of is Yakuza 2 PS2 version still worth playing today, and how does it hold up without grading it on a curve? The setup of the game is you are Kazuma Kiryu, an ex-Yakuza of the Tojo clan who gets dragged back into the drama of the Tojo clan. That's basically the setup of every Kiryu-centric Yakuza game. In this game, the chairman of the Tojo gets murdered and a war is brewing between the Tojo clan and the Omni Alliance. Another important character is the Osakan cop Kairo Sayama. Her main motivation is to find out her past and discover what the mysterious Jingweon incident is. The main things you do in the game are walk around Kamurocho, watch cutscenes, fight random punks on the street, and fight in extended combat encounters in large buildings, and of course, fight bosses. You can also play a bunch of minigames if you feel like it, and complete side quests. To me, the 2 most important elements of the game are the story and the combat, with the side quest being a distant third for this game. This is a spoiler-free review, so I won't go into hard detail on the story, but I'll talk about it in some vague terms later. Let's talk about the combat now. Combat is good enough. Is it a Devil May Cry or a God Hand? No. Is it as good as Zero? No. Is it better than a Batman or an Assassin's Creed? Yes. Most encounters at the very least are fine, and the big story fights are all fun. There are some encounters that I consider a little malarkey, but only like 2 that immediately come to mind. My tip is if you feel like a fight's being pretty annoying and is bad, just use a weapon. That'll make it much less annoying. I have some weird block about using weapons in the Yakuza games, like they're the coward's way out or something, but just ignore that. It's fine to use it. I'm just dumb. In combat, the 2 main buttons you use are square and triangle. Squares for weak attacks, triangles for powerful finishers. The more times you press square before using triangle, the more powerful the finishing move is. You can also use circle as a way to break enemies' guard and set up heat moves. It starts off pretty simple, but I like how you can learn the ability to chain throws in your combos. Just add a circle tap after the finishing move and you now have a lot more options in combat. It leads to more decisions being made, which is always a good thing. It may not be necessary to switch your tactics up most of the time, but it's nice to be able to play around with different moves. Most of the time, combat's just wailing on enemies, but it's not a bad thing. The targeting system works pretty well, it's easy to switch targets, and once you enhance Kiryu, things open up a bit. One thing I noticed in this game is that the heat is more difficult to build up in this game than in Zero, but it's easier to keep. Some encounters can be easy if you enter with a full heat gauge, but really hard to build it up if you start the fight without any. That's kind of a negative in my eyes. I don't like the Gradius syndrome going on here, where your performance in previous levels affects the difficulty of the current one. It's not a huge deal, and there are items you can use to recover heat, but I don't like doing that. It doesn't come up that much, but it's a little annoying. The heat move used on downed enemies in this game uses less of the gauge and does a lot more damage than Zero, which I like. In Zero, if you use too many heat moves in a row, they started barely doing any damage. In 2, I think maybe that same system is in effect, but it's much less noticeable here. I like the consistency here with the heat doing around the same amount of damage every time. Your options are pretty limited at first. I don't like how you gotta unlock the heat stop move, but you can greatly enhance your moveset by watching certain videotapes, fighting optional characters in the homeless area, train with Kamaki, and just level up. Definitely take the time to learn any new moves you can. That should improve combat. Anyway, the bottom line is hitting dudes feels real good in this game, and the heat moves are super satisfying. All of the big building fights were fun, and I never felt like they dragged on too much. You usually took around 10 minutes max to reach the boss of the area. Combat's not the deepest, but I never got sick of it. I wasn't sure what to expect from the combat in this game, but it exceeded whatever expectations I had going in. Going back 10 years and 2 consoles was not a problem at all. Overall, I'd say combat's a legit plus for this game. Not just like, it was fine, but like, actually pretty good. It's a strong element of the game, highly enjoyable. It's not super complex, but got the job done. So basically, combat pretty simple, nice to have a few more options, but super satisfying. Alright, story time. The story is the main appeal of Yakuza 2. 2 and 0 are the two most highly regarded stories in the series. Before I started the game, the only thing I knew about the story was that the antagonist was a very popular character. Here he is, it's Ryuji Goda. He lived up to the hype. He is super compelling, with a great blend of likability and intimidation. He's likable, but not necessarily sympathetic, so he doesn't lose his edge. In conversation, he's pretty casual about things. He speaks a lot of yeah and apostrophes. The localization team did this for most characters from the Kanto/Shotenbori region to portray them as not as sophisticated as Kamurocho. Majima also speaks like this. Goda's interesting because, like I said, his goal's not noble, but I'm still kind of rooting for him. Like, I'd be fine if he succeeded because he's a cool dude, even though if he won, bad things would probably happen. I don't know, be vague about the story, just spoiler free, you know. One thing I like a lot is that he appears consistently throughout the game and that you know he's the big bad the whole time. You first meet him in Chapter 2, he's a large role in Chapter 3, then he takes a break for a little bit before appearing again in mid-game, and he obviously has a huge role in the finale. Bottom line is Goda's one of my favorite video game antagonists ever. Off the top of my head, he's like number 2, but I probably gotta think about it some more.
お見事や。すまんことしたわ。うちの若い衆は血の気が多くての。愉快。よっしゃ。この店で一番高い酒持ってこい。はい。ほんまにええ度胸しとるわ。うちの組にもあんたほどの男はおりませんわ。おめえの証拠など受けられねえ。とっとと帰れ。さっきからおっかない顔しとるけど、あんた何者や。若頭代行の柏木だ。ほんまでっか。わしはてっきり葬儀屋のおっさんかと思うてました。それにわしも人の子や。厳粛な葬儀の場でドンパチやるほどアホちゃいます。
But Goda's not the only thing the story has going for it. There are many legit twists in this game. There were times I started actually yelling at the TV, as lame as that sounds. I actually gasped out loud multiple times throughout this game. At like around the halfway point, I thought I had the game figured out, thought I had a good grip on how things would play out. I ran through some scenarios in my head, but I ended up being completely wrong on all of it. There were two huge twists I didn't see coming at all. And in addition to just the twist aspect of the game, there are two specific cutscenes in this game that I consider to be among the best in gaming. The ending sequence is phenomenal. It is Snake Eater good, which, if you don't know what that means, that might be my favorite game ever, so yeah, that's high praise. The end parts brought this game's story from a good to very good, pretty enjoyable experience to a, oh my god, I love this game, it's just unforgettable. I know I just hyped it up a ton, but be warned, some people found things that happened in the end game a little too ridiculous and it caused them to turn on the game. I'm clearly not one of those people, but even if you do not like the stuff that happens at the end game, you would still enjoy the noir aspects that happen all the way up to the point. The story's highly enjoyable before the end game. I cannot believe this game never appears in the best video game stories list. That annoys me. Okay, I can believe it because it's a very Japanese PS2 game released in 2008, so it didn't really get any attention in the US. But still, the fact this game is/was so overlooked is really sad to me. Anyway, back to another point about the story. So, oddly enough, this game reminds me a little of Devil May Cry 2. Yeah, I know, that game sucks. I mean, I never played it, but still I know it's really bad. But one of the reasons beyond the gameplay being bad that people dislike Devil May Cry 2 is that Dante doesn't really have much to do with the plot. It mainly focuses on some other lady, I think, once again, haven't really played it. But it kind of reminds me of Yakuza 2 kind of reminds me of that a little bit. For large stretches of the game, it seems like Kiryu is just kind of there, and the game's not really about him. It mainly focuses on Sayama's past. Now, Kiryu does come back into play in an unexpected way, but a decent amount of the game's plot's about Sayama. That's not a bad thing by any means. It doesn't really matter. She's a really good character, and I love Kiryu in this game, but something worth noting.
私だったら両親を殺した人間を知ったらそれがたとえ誰であっても許すことはできないと思う。正直怖いわ、過去を知るのって。でもいいの。それが私が選んだ道だから。
そうか。なら俺を利用すればいい。俺に張り付いて登場界を探れ。それがあんたの過去を探る近道だったらな。
本気なの？あなた登場界の人間だったんじゃないの？そんなこと言ってもいいの？
俺は極道だった自分を誇りに思っちゃいない。
もしあなたが関係してたら？
その時は迷わず俺に向かって引き金を引けばいい。あんたはその相手を許すつもりはないんだろう。
Alright, enough about the story. Go experience it yourself. Let's move on to other things. The side quests are good. There's some funny stuff here, but honestly, they're kinda forgettable. There's one really funny one that everyone who played the game knows what I'm talking about, but other than that, kinda forgettable. If you compare it to Zero, then obviously there's no way it compares to that game. But that's not really fair, because Zero had like the best side quest in any game ever. If you compare it to a normal game, then 2 has good side quests. They are good, but don't expect to be blown away. Some bad things about the game. I don't really like walking around the city in this game, just kind of a slow and tedious process. I get that there's tech limitations and they couldn't do anything about it, but still, I don't like it. There's no sprint button, so it's too slow and you don't have any control over your movement. There are like 1-second pauses to load every time you change streets, which actually isn't bad. Those loading spurts could have been a lot worse. And they didn't really bother me that much and I got used to them pretty quickly. But still, just walking around the city in general is kind of slow. It makes me get bored. The zoomed out camera also doesn't immerse me in the game as much as a behind the back feel. Just not as drawn in. Once again, not blaming the devs here at all. They did everything they could, but still there's something I gotta note that is a negative. I groaned anytime I checked the map and the place I wanted to go was far away. Even though I disliked all this, honestly, I don't think it impacted my enjoyment that much. I just wanted to say something I disliked. I'm a pretty impatient guy, but you might not be. It might not bother you as much as it did me. Another thing I dislike is there's some missable content. If you fail certain sub-stories, sub-stories can be failed. It can cut off access to other sub-stories, and the bonus boss can only be fought if you've completed every side mission, so yeah, it's easy to miss out on fighting him. The OST of this game, great. Not much to say other than it rules. There's a good variety of battle themes, and all are pretty good. The main Soten Boy battle theme is Cowboy Bebopian, and bosses all have their own unique themes that are all pretty great. The music that plays in the background during cutscenes is also good. Although I am disappointed that my favorite song in the game is not on the soundtrack and doesn't even have an official name. Anyway, here's some of the non-super important, like spoilery tracks for you to listen to. Pretty good, right? I was withholding some of the best stuff, too. Not much to say, other than it's very, really good. I like it a lot. Good stuff here. So, Yakuza 2 is a great game. But what about the thing that's on everyone's mind right now? Kiwami 2. I've come to a conclusion, for now, that which version you should play depends on what you want from a Yakuza game. Do you want to take in a realistic portrayal of a Japanese city? Do you want to see a bunch of wacky side quests? Have a good punch people in the face simulator? Or is the story the most important aspect? Which game is best for you depends on your answer to that question. If the number one reason you're interested in Yakuza 2 is the story, then you should play the PS2 version. Boo! Hey, it's not my fault. I'm just saying how it is. I know that's not what you want to hear. Kiwami 2 is fine if you want to play it for the other reasons. It's pretty good, in fact. I'm going to save a full breakdown of the remake versus original for later, but I want to say the important part here. Remember how I said this game has two of my favorite cutscenes in video game history? Yeah, well, Kiwami 2 kinda completely ruins both of them. So, both scenes have licensed music from the Crazy Ken band, and in Kiwami 2, Crazy Ken is replaced by the band Sam, not sure you're supposed to pronounce it. Capitalization throws me off. And I think the difference in tone portrayed by these two bands can be expressed by these pictures here. So, the music here is a bigger deal than you might initially think beyond just general quality, which I vastly prefer Crazy Ken. In fact, I've listened to just the Crazy Ken songs on YouTube by themselves a couple of times. So, the first scene I love is specifically crafted to the song. The actions in the scene match the beat of the song. With a different song, the scene just doesn't work, especially when the song they used to replace it's pretty bad. It is completely an opposite in tone to the original. Imagine like a beautiful, artistic, classy jazz song and it being replaced by like a K-pop band that sounds like a Fall Out Boy song or something, I don't know. Add in an awful sound effect and the scene's legitimately terrible in Kiwami 2. I can barely get through watching it, which makes me mad. Now, the other scene is the wonderful ending. On one hand, the ending wasn't crafted for a specific song, so changing it isn't as big a deal. But the song did play for about 4 minutes, which is like twice as long as the song the other scene did. You can still get emotional watching the ending, but it's not nearly as powerful to me. And if you went back and watched the original ending on YouTube, it wouldn't be the same as experiencing it live. You already know what happens when at the moment you're on the edge of your seat. The removal of the ending song changed the ending from like an all-timer, literal chills, to just another game ending. A good one, but nothing I haven't seen before. I'm struggling to find a comparison for how big a deal these changes are. I guess imagine if there wasn't any music during the final scenes of Snake Eater during Eva's speech, or it was like action music for some reason. That would suck, right? I know it sounds ridiculous right now and probably super annoying and like a baby, but it legit saddens me that one, these scenes were butchered like this, and two, people playing the remake as the first Yakuza 2 experience really get shafted here, only that soundtrack could be a lot more awesome than Sim. So the music's by far the biggest problem, but surely the graphical enhancements offset that, right? Well... Okay, Kiwami 2 looks beautiful. I want to get that out of the way. But there's a take that I do not necessarily disagree with, that some people prefer the original graphical style and say it is more moody and atmospheric, fits the tone of the game better. I'm not saying I'm one of those people, but I understand them and don't think they are crazy. Kiwami 2 looks fantastic. This isn't a huge ordeal. I just wanted to point these things out. The bottom line is I greatly enjoyed Yakuza 2. All things considered, it held up pretty well. Walking around the city is like the only noticeable part that aged poorly. Combat still holds up, story is great, graphically it's still pretty good, has a unique atmosphere, and all the character models during cutscenes all look really good. The music is awesome. It's about as good as it could have been on the PS2, realistically, I think. You should check it out. They reprinted it, so I got my copy for like $24. You can get it probably between $25 and $30 pretty easily. It's definitely worth your time.
う